Brett Pontecorvo here at Mainstage to Ableton.com. Today I'm going to walk you through how to find where everything is in Ableton. When I first did it, it was a hot mess nightmare. And so today we're going to talk about the 5 essential things that I wanted to be able to find when I was switching over from Mainstage to Ableton. I'm going to show you where they are and how to use them. Let's jump in. So I'm going to give you a rundown of trying to find where things are in Ableton with paying respect to where they are inside Mainstage. So I think the real essential things that you're going to need to do here is be able to choose your sounds, be able to change your range, choose your MIDI inputs, and set patch tempo. And then I'm going to talk about MIDI mapping as well and the differences between the two programs. So choosing sounds. Choosing sounds are done through this box over here, which you know because you use this program. Changing your ranges are also done through this same box in the layer editor. Choosing your MIDI inputs is done through a different screen, which again you may know if you hit assign. You can set your whatever controller up to control this on-screen keyboard. And your patch tempo is also done through this box here. If you have any like timed synced effects to your BPM, this is going to be relevant. A lot of this is done in different places in Ableton. So let's walk through them one by one and figure out the location. So you move over to Ableton and you're like, how do I choose my sounds? Great news, everything that you need to add, sounds, audio effects, MIDI effects are all in the browser. If you don't see the browser, you can click this little arrow. This is where they live. And adding an instrument is super simple. Click an instrument that you want, drag it onto a MIDI channel strip. You've just added an instrument. You're winning. It's amazing. And it's that straightforward. So the next thing that you may want to do with this instrument is set your instrument range, which you can do by clicking here and clicking here. Now you'll see that there is a green thing here. This will adjust your ranges of your incoming notes. So if I were to hit a key on the keyboard, no bass sound, but if I hit it down here, I've got a bass sound. It's a lovely thing. You can set your ranges. This is called an instrument rack. They're super useful, and you can check out my previous post in the comment about instrument racks as well. Cool. Setting patch tempo is a very easy thing to do. Now, I've already set up a basic one here, but let's imagine that that's not where we are. Let's imagine we're at 127 and we're in 4/4. You can rename these tracks to change when you play them. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's say we want to be at 80 beats per minute. You're going to type 80 BPM, and then when you play that clip, you'll see that your time changed. And this is also helpful if you have, again, synced up audio effects or you're running tracks. It does the same thing if you want to change your time signature. You can change it to whatever it is that you want. So perhaps you want it to be in 7/8. When I fire that, you'll notice that I'm now in 7/8. So that's super, super straightforward. I love the way Ableton handles that. It works out so nicely. Let's talk about setting your MIDI inputs. This is always done through your channel strip, which is a little bit different than Mainstage that sort of has that visual display that you can see which keyboard. You won't miss it as long as you can remember that your instrument is in front of you and your computer is a tool to make the sounds. MIDI from, you can select whatever you want. I only have one keyboard plugged in right now. Sometimes I do play with 2, but you select whatever you want, whatever it is that you would like to use, and that'll change it. You can also separate out by channels if you have pads and you only want the pads to go to that channel. That's how you rock and roll there. Let's talk about MIDI mapping. The biggest thing that I missed was patch-specific mapping when I switched over to Ableton, but I realized it was because I wasn't framing my mind correctly. You can still do awesome things, and you can still have semi-specific mapping in Ableton, especially if you're using audio busing or something like that, which we can talk about later. But for right now, what I want to talk about is how do I MIDI map at all? And the answer is you can click this MIDI button, and anything that changes color on your screen is mappable. So right now I'm going to map this volume knob to a button, to a fader rather, on my keyboard. Then when I click out of MIDI, that fader is now mapped. Ableton also allows you to map to your keyboard, which I actually end up using this even though I have controllers. I use it all the time. It's a really handy feature. So if you click key and then you select a key on your keyboard, now every time I hit lowercase k, it's going to play scene 5. So it's a beautiful thing. Macros are something that I want to talk about just a little bit here. A lot of your presets are going to have these, and these are basically just controlling things that are affecting your instrument's sound. So if you want to see everything, you can click this button on the bottom and you can scroll over, and it looks like there's a chorus effect here and a limiter on this bass. So these are just mapped to different parameters. You can make your own mappings if you want to. So the way that you would go about doing that is selecting map right here, and then selecting what you want to control, and then hitting map here. And, oh, didn't work. Hold that thought. Boom. Okay, there it is. So now it is also mapped. This knob is also mapped to this macro. So in that way, you're able to have patch-specific control. And you should make use of the macros, because the more time I've spent using them, the more I'm really growing to love them. And that's it. That is where everything is. I hope that's super helpful. And I'll see you next time. Thank you guys for watching. I want to get connected with you. So the two easiest ways to do that are, 1, you can subscribe to my channel here, or 2, you can head over to mainstagetoableton.com/go, sign up for my newsletter, and get the fast track patchless guide. But I want to know what your thoughts are, what your needs are, what you're looking to do, what you're struggling with. So let's get connected. I would love to hear from you. Until next time.